Today, we've been in business for 6 months, and I gotta tell you, the struggles over the last 6 months are for real. Now, obviously, I haven't been in the business for 6 months, but this makes you in the business officially for 6 months. How's your first 6 months going?
I'm ready to quit.
The good news is, so we've been together for 23 years.
No.
What?
We've been married 23.
Yeah, married 23 years, together coming up on 30. And one of our decisions or conversations we had is like, man, I hope we don't kill each other, because in the car business, it requires a whole lot of hours. Last night, I was here till 11 p.m. and I didn't realize that I didn't eat for over 24 hours. So the hours in the car business are crazy, which means we haven't always been together, but over the last 6 months, 24/7 we're together.
Oh yeah.
And we haven't killed each other yet.
You're coming close.
So we're really excited to bring you our 6-month update, because there's been a lot of challenges and a lot of changes, and we have a big change that's is going to come up that we got to announce. So I think the very first thing that we have to update you with, what?
Frank's not out.
Where's Frank?
I mean, I don't like him, but
So as I was saying, let's talk about how many cars we've sold in the first 6 months. And we've sold 57. And why is this so important? Why do I want to tell you how many cars we sold? Obviously, it's not bragging, because 57 is not a lot, but we want to start this nonprofit. We want to be able to give back to people in need. And right now, our goal is when I sell 100 cars, that we're going to give away our first car. So 57 is a big number. I think the bigger number is that we've got $1.05 million in revenue so far in 6 months, and that's impressive to me. I mean,
how do we figure out that?
Out of all the cars we sell.
I thought we just leave it to the accountant.
That's not profit. That's just revenue, right? So, but we've sold $1.05 million worth of cars in 6 months, which that means that we need to step up my goal, because now my goal is going to be $3 million by the end of the year.
I think you were trying to say Frank sold 57 cars.
Yeah, Frank sold 57 cars. I didn't. So let's talk about the positives that we've had in our first 6 months. And
He's not dead.
No, I'm not dead. That's a huge positive. I look at that as pretty good, and you look at freedom as a positive, right? So
what freedom?
I don't know. That you can come to work with me every day and not get paid, right? So a lot of positives, a lot of improvements of the building, a lot of improvements with our sign being up, which I'm really super proud of our sign. And the really cool thing about it, I got some pushback on buying a car doesn't have to suck. People were offended by the word suck. Okay, whatever. But overall, 99.99999% of the people like, dude, that's hilarious. I love it. That's so funny. And it's literally sold us cars, and it's literally had us buy this car right here. Now that's only a $5,000 car, but somebody driving by saw the sign and made them look and see our We Buy Cars sign. So that's a huge positive. Our marketing that we're doing away from me doing YouTube and stuff like that is working for what we want to try.
I would say the biggest positive is every single customer that has bought from us has loved the sign.
They've loved the sign. They loved it. Wall. We follow up with them at the end. Speaking of the wall, this is what the wall looked like back in December before we sold our first customer. This is what the wall looks like now. And I gotta say, that is impressive, and that is something very cool that I absolutely love, that we came up with this idea of the wall, because every single one of these names means something to us, and it means something to obviously the person who bought the car from us. And every single one of these names on here reminds me of who you are when you bought a car from me. But most importantly, these are the OG people who start our business, who do it. And I love Castillo's comment, the drives suck, but you don't. And they drove 5 hours from Northwest Indiana down here to buy Hyundai Elantra. So, but every single one of them, our first customer, where's Basil? Our first customer of 2022, our first under 18 person who bought a car here, our first dog. So every single one of these means something to us. And again, I'm so excited that I actually came up with this idea to do this. So now, obviously this is not our forever home. So when we move to a new building, we're gonna have to do something with this. We're gonna have to have this wall in the new building and have these like a different color, because these will be the OG people forever with Mike's Car Store.
Yeah, sit on that.
Yeah. I'm not sitting on this. Is that what you want me to sit on?
Yes. Come on, sit right on that. See how good it feels.
I turned 45 this month. I don't think I need this to check my prostate. So let's talk about the learning experiences that we've had. Been quite a few. I was talking to one of our reps about our learning experiences since December of starting this, right? We had this whole idea that, hey, I'll still work for 𝘊𝘥𝘳 𝘉𝘴 and I'll still sell cars. And that was a learning experience right from the get-go. And we quickly realized between me and her talking and Ryan Bachman talking that if I have 2 feet in 2 stores, there's no way we're gonna be successful in both. So that's why I'm like, okay, this is my passion.
I don't know you would have 2 feet in 2 stores. Do you have 4 feet?
1 feet in 2 stores, right?
I mean,
so
it's 1 foot
in each store or whatever it is. So we quickly realized that was a lesson there, and that was a shock to what our process and thoughts were back last year when we started processing this idea.
You want to know what I've learned over the last 6 months?
What have you learned?
That your mind is absolutely crazy.
You just now figured that out after 30 years?
Well, no. I've never had to sit there and try to deal with you when you're doing 20 million things.
Some of the things that we've done is I've tried to go cheap in here, and I just did a video on how much it costs to run the store, and we learned some of the expenses, like with our floor plan, to buy $60,000 cars, of how much that cost us. Learned about insurance. Insurance is a huge thing that I'm working on all the time. Just so many different things, and the fact too that we're now learning that we're stretched thin, right? We think that right now, 6 months into it, we think we could probably have 80 or 90 cars out right now, but we're stretched thin. Our bandwidth is to the max. That just is holding us back some. And of course, if you guys don't notice, we never do sponsors on this channel. I hate sponsors. I hate dealing with them. I think you kind of sell yourself out when you do a sponsor. So if you want to support the channel, obviously watch the videos all the way through to the end. Go to ChevyDudeStore.com. We got our brand new Summer of Frank t-shirt, which is absolutely epic. But that's been like one of our bigger struggles too, is making video content for you guys. We're struggling on that because she's buying cars all day. We look at 300 to 700 cars per day to look at, and we got to run this business. But YouTube is where now we're turning our money to live at home and not take any profit out of this company to live on. We want to reinvest everything into this company. So those are probably our biggest struggle outside of this store, but it's all because of this store. So before we get to the big change that we have to make in this company, number one thing you've learned in 6 months.
Why'd you have to ask me on the spot? Buying cars is where I've learned that I like the data. As much as I hate sitting on the computer all day, I also like sitting on the computer all day, and I don't want to do the sales process.
So buying the cars, you've learned the number one thing you've learned is how to buy cars correctly, right, for the business.
So what have you learned?
My biggest thing that I've learned is I have high standards for the way that we retail the vehicles, the way we recondition the vehicles. And the things that I've learned is, like, I want to do local business, but some of them I can't. I got to call people from outside a local area to come in and do business. So like our key company, our dent repair guy, our paint guy, I've had to go through a couple different guys, and that's like our biggest thing, is to find good vendors on it that treat us right. And I think I had a paint vendor that was just charging me stupid high retail, and I learned it on the Chrysler 300 that all of a sudden I got a $900 bill when it probably should have been $300 to $400 max. So that's when it clicked on me. Is one thing that Mr. Bachman said to me before I left is control expenses, and that's in my head every day. Control expenses, control expenses, control expenses. So that's the number one thing I've learned, is talking to these vendors and just being able to negotiate with them a little more. I'm not a big negotiator. I just like to pay for things, be done with it, move on, because time's more important. But negotiating with these vendors is probably my biggest thing that I've learned how to do it. And that leads us in with some sad news that we have to make a really big change here, that I can no longer be a part of this company, and I can't do sales anymore. So we have to hire our first salesperson, because Frank's not cutting it. You don't want to do sales. I've got to run the company. We got to grow the company. And the biggest thing is what we've talked about over the last couple months is we're being held back. Our bandwidth is stretched thin. To grow here, we need more people in. So very exciting to say that we are definitely posting, by the time this video is live, we're posting our first salesperson position. I know we're gonna get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of applicants. I'll put a link in the description, but you gotta live local. You gotta be local. You've gotta be able to come here in person and interview with us, because we're both gonna interview. Frank's gonna interview, and Frank's the last person who's gonna make the decision on who you're hiring. So
Frank needs some help.
Frank is, you gotta
and
impress
not a
Frank.
girlfriend.
Right, not a girlfriend. A lot of people are suggesting Frank girlfriends. No girlfriends, right?
Yeah, we're not in the business of making babies and all that stuff.
Then we got baby Franks and Frankettes, or whatever the case may be. So it's really exciting. that we're going to be hiring our first salesperson, and I talked to a gentleman down in Alabama who started a business in 2020, and he worked out of a building just like this with 5 salespeople himself and a finance manager. So that gives us a lot of confidence that we can use this building to grow in and do more and more until we get a bigger, better building.
Can you say that 20 times fast?
Bigger, better building. Bigger, better building. Bigger, better building.